Jai Hind. What is a chip war? The fight for the world's most critical technology? In fact, in 2022 notification book written by Chris Miller, an economic historian, it tells us about the transformation of the semiconductor into an essential component of contemporary life. Now, with this chip warfare comes with the geopolitical battles, and also that's how it matters to the world. This video is about the detailed and comprehensive analysis of the present chip warfare between these two big tech giants, China and America, and how their strategies are actually aligning to the geopolitical game of this world. Also, I have come to a conclusion which I'll share in the beginning of the video, that the dependency of tech and national security are so intertwined that it will continue in the future. Jai Hind, the Team MND channel will take you into the detailed comprehensive view of this. Now we know the US and China are now in an open competition in every way. Now this semiconductors, the chips I'm talking about, they're a key field where that's playing out the most. There are several reasons to it. Taiwan forms a major part of chip production, which is under the close protection of US, and China still considers that as its own part. Now Taiwan makes 90% of the world's most advanced chips with US and Dutch inputs. Now both Americas and China have its strategies as per their ideologies. China has a made in China strategy to curb its own reliance on the Western tech, while US efforts relies on the two pillars. First, using export controls to limit China's access to top chips with possible military uses, and second, using incentives to secure America's supply by bringing more production back home. Now, paradoxically, Taiwan made chips are now cheaper to rent in China than in US. Now, this indicates that there is still plenty of supply despite any US restrictions. So, the attempt of US or of America to stop the era of global trade by putting their sanctions might not be possible and is not successful, because every country is managing their interest. China's own chip makers have seemingly shrugged off another US imposed technical limit on chip making by tweaking legacy tech rather than leapfrogging to the cutting edge. Now SMIC was able to acquire spare parts and technical services to maintain its 7 nanometer production facility. Then in terms of the pillar number 2, bringing more chip production back to the US, things have looked wonky, despite the US keeps luring the producers. Like Intel is bumping up against its own mistakes, like missing the mobile and AI waves. Then TSMC has also faced hurdles in Arizona, from cultural clashes to union or disputes. So now, according to my research, these promising TSMC yield claims have come from an anonymous sources. So the credibility can be decided by you all. Second, they have come just as TSMC is in line for 11.6 billion US dollars in US grants and loans. Third, the technicals are still unclear. Example, can TSMC scale these yields to viable volumes and viable costs? But also there is a lacuna, since TSMC plays an important role in many ways. First, TSMC's chips in Arizona are tiny, 4 nanometers, and they are made with extreme ultraviolet tech that's well beyond the deep UV tech still used in China. Second, if US reduces its dependency on Taiwan made chips, it might lead to decline or reduce US commitment to defend Taiwan. So these lacunas are important, and the stakes are also very high. Now my analysis to this is TSMC's own story comprised of both hope and despair for anyone invested in its success in Arizona. First, there is hope in the sense that Maureen Chang first founded the firm at the invitation of Taiwan's government after working for decades abroad in Texas Instruments in the US. That is, TSMC's very existence is arguably proof that this kind of government strategy can work. But there may be also a despair in the TSMC story because it took Taiwan decades, countless billions, and a whole ecosystem of suppliers and educators to succeed, which is probably why this Arizona project has faced delays and the cost has increased. So, and that's probably why Chang himself described the whole Arizona play as a very expensive exercise in futility. Also worth noting, around half of 2,200 employees now working at TSMC's Arizona were reportedly flown from headquarters in Taiwan. So TSMC's sales to China have continued to grow via older chips, which are not blocked by US export controls. So now who is winning the battle, or will China attack Taiwan? Chip strength is the key to decide onto these questions. US efforts to push or throttle China's chip industry will likely push Beijing to become more self-sufficient. For the time being, China cannot replace its semiconductor supply from Taiwan, as it would hurt its national economy and increase the cost of its geoeconomics. So, any military invasion of Taiwan and subsequent semiconductor supply disruption would also be in the minds of Beijing before they take any such kind of thought. I would not say decision. Now, who is winning this chip war? Can China survive without America? The Chip Acts isn't the only tactic deployed in the US-China chips rivalry. It has a bigger role. So if the US, the EU, the Japan and other Western nations, they want to avoid a complete decoupling, they will really have to balance their economic security interests against overly protectionist policies which can lead to inefficiencies, higher costs and even stifled innovations. At the same time, Beijing's move or more aggressive policies of economic coercion for self-sufficiency and decoupling from the entire West are not likely to deter many other countries from joining US sanctions and even export control efforts. They will rather produce the opposite effect by escalating the global battle for the world's most advanced semiconductors and chips. So China cannot produce and sell in isolation. So according to me, it's going to be a tug of war between China, looking for balance with the West till the time South Korea and India also make their own place in this war. Jai Hind.